It's the Redbird Reboot Podcast. Are you ready to get rebooted, Cardinals fans? He settles down, at least in the zone, and does not stop running.
Blake Murphy.
This is the identity for the Arizona Cardinals.
The run defense is just horrendous, and it's been horrendous for the Cardinals for a long time.
And Marcos Labrada.
He's going to bring over his philosophy. It should make it better.
Present the hottest NFL podcast from the country's hottest state.
He should be turning around the logo.
Actually, some breaking news we can cover here. This popped up just about, 6 minutes ago.
It's Redbird Reboot.
All right, how's it going, guys? It's been a long time since I've done a solo stream. I just wanted to go live because of the fact that there's so many news, mostly having to do with the fact that we have a couple important injuries that we've had to deal with, especially to some very key pieces. And with those injuries, the first one obviously would be like the first one and the major one would be like Walter Nolan. It's pretty sad, and that's where the Cardinals, usually have some of their bad luck is that when training camp happens, we have some key players that usually go down. It's just something that's not. It's usually something that like seems to always happen, and it's not a very good situation, but it is what it is. So, anyways, I wanted to go over that, and I also wanted to go over like where does the CB, where do the cornerbacks go from here? Now, I've always been a critic of like Starling Thomas, and obviously it's going to be a situation where more than likely whatever I'm going to say, it's going to be like more so, hey, I'm not really worried about like Starling Thomas going down. A lot of the fan base seems to think that like it's a bad loss when it comes to like somebody that was a starter for the Cardinals for such a long time. And I understand that. I understand that like Starling Thomas did take a lot of snaps for the Cardinals cornerback room. I understand that, with that being said, that there's a lot of like experience that's being lost, especially when it's like the year-long situation where he gets an ACL tear and then he's just out. He's out for the entire year. Obviously, you have to have surgery, you have to have the recovery and whatnot. The way I'm looking at this is that we've had on this team at the very least six cornerbacks that we have like drafted just within the last like 2 to 3 years. We went ahead and signed a veteran, Sean Murphy Bunting. Sean Murphy Bunting has played slot for the most majority of his career. When he was with Tampa Bay, he was the apex defender or the slot defender for those Buccaneers teams. On the outside was Jamel Dean, and don't eviscerate me for forgetting the other guy's name. I forget names every single time this happens, and it's just normal. Anyhow, he was mostly just playing majority in the slot. So when you bump him to the outside, and his strength is more so playing on the inside, you have somebody like Garrett Williams on this defense. You're just not going to see him being bumped out for that reason that you're not going to bump out a player that's playing above to elite in that position. You're just not going to do it. And it's kind of unfortunate because Garrett Williams being so good means that one of my players that I really, really like on this Cardinals team doesn't get to have those snaps at the apex. So that's how it is so far. We're going to look at a couple of clips that I had pulled up film-wise to be able to like kind of, showcase exactly why I have no like worries about this cornerback room being the way it is. Mostly just for the simple fact that like sometimes in defenses, you have to have somebody go down to give somebody else the opportunity. It's sad. It's unfortunate. These people have lives. These people have literally like their contracts are what they work hard for, and they're not going to get those contracts for people who are undrafted free agents. So my heart does go out for Star Thomas, and it's very unfortunate that he had this injury, but at the same time, this gives somebody else like a heads up. I just wanted to highlight, of course, Dana being one of the most. She's the one who was probably this like a film review like guru who studies like schemes and stuff. So a lot of what she says, usually I'm just like, yeah, like I will parody that as well and say, yeah, I do agree with that as well. So, Darren Hall, maybe others. So the Gilmore signing is just kind of like it's funny because of the fact that his name is Stephen Gilmore. People keep trying to like correct it and say it's Stephon Gilmore. It's not. No, it's not the older brother. It's Stephen Gilmore. I learned a little bit about him as well. He's more so just kind of like a camp body. I'm not sure if he'll ever be anything more than a starter, but hey, like we're going a certain direction, so at least you can say that that's something, right? Exactly. Same thing. You can look at the college film. The college film is going to be hard to be able to attain, mostly because of the fact that with college, you can't just go somewhere, subscribe to something just like you do with the All 22. You have to actually like send requests to the actual colleges. You have to be a big name for that. So it's going to be kind of, it's almost damn near impossible to be able to get that film. All right, so like I mentioned, Walter Nolan, that one is very important. He's not having those snaps, and of course, they went with full pads practice today, and it's unfortunate because if you're a defensive like lineman, you do need those reps to be able to like have a feel for what the offensive line is gonna do and how they're gonna block in these schemes and whatnot. Obviously, they have their own scheme, meaning that they have a certain way that they're gonna play, and that's not how everybody in the league is going to play. They're not going to play the same way that the Cardinals are. But at the meantime, it's still live snaps that are very important for a person who you want to have a upwards trajectory when it comes to his development, and he's losing those snaps. So Walter Nolan being going down is a big loss for the Cardinals. He has a high upside. His ceiling is it's up there. His floor might be higher than a lot of people think, but his ceiling is it's high up there. He could be like a Quentin Williams type, uh, Aaron Donald, maybe even a sexy Dexy, as it being that he's such a dominant defensive tackle that you want him to develop like one of those high premier defensive tackles out there. He's not getting those reps, so it's very sad. Um, yeah, that's. I mean, yeah, yeah, I agree with that. All right, so Star Thomas had an injury. People are very concerned about the cornerback room, and as I mentioned, we still have a couple people I'm really high on. Elijah Jones is somebody that like we're not really getting too much attention to, but he was a higher upside type of cornerback. He has really good size. He has, above average speed. And those are the traits that I really liked. And I was higher on him than I was at Max Melton. If they had, switched him around, and the Max Melton's another one of those brothers that has a brother in the league. They don't match names, unfortunately, but like, yeah, Bo and Max, but they're very athletic. That those two brothers are athletic as heck. And had they switched around, if it was Elijah Jones instead of like Max Melton, I would have been okay with that. I would have been okay with that, even though a lot of teams would say this a reach. They said that about Max Melton. I do believe, in my opinion, that was like kind of like a panic pick. Like, hey, we're gonna try our magistry. Let's see if we can replicate what we did with BJ Ojolari. Which that's a whole nother story. I'm getting to the point where I'm almost done with BJ Ojolari, but they thought they could trade back, get a couple more picks, either in third, fourth, or fifth round, and pick up somebody like BJ Ojolari that was drafted as it was a premium. It was a pick that was made uh like it was a sub a sub not a I forgot what the name is, but it's basically saying that it was a good pick at the position. They thought they could pull that off again if they moved back from the 30s to the 40s, and maybe there would have been a Kool-Aid McKinstry or the cornerback from that I always keep forgetting from the Eagles, the stud that's a apex offender, the slot. That's fine. You know, could have had one of those two cornerbacks, but we traded back. Those two guys were picked right before the Cardinals picked. Maybe it's because those teams thought, you know what, the Cardinals are going to pick a cornerback. We better either jump ahead of them or just pick our cornerbacks, go on a run, make sure we pick them up before they come on, before they come on the clock and stuff, and they make sure that they aren't able to pick him because he's not going to be available past that point. And of course, Max Melton was the guy that they decided on. And Max Melton, he's very athletic, but to me, unfortunately, he has a lot of things that he needs to learn. He's very confident in his craft. I've heard him on some radio sessions. It kind of makes me want to root for him now because of the fact that he feels like he can take this starter role, but he wouldn't have been able to if Star Thomas was holding the role down. Okay, so enough of that. Like, obviously, the film is what everybody likes to, what I like to present and whatnot. I'll go ahead and bring up a couple important important things that I've seen, or important snaps that I've seen when it comes to like the cornerbacks, and things that we also do need to pay attention to when it comes to like, people that we want to study and whatnot. Like, what is it that they can do? What is it they can provide? So the first one is going to be, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to go ahead and roast them on this one. But this is a snap with Star Thomas. I brought this up so many times before about like Star Thomas, and he has 4.3 speed, and that's great. How do you let somebody like Adam Thielen stack you? So when I say stack, it means that they push him out of phase, beat him at the line of scrimmage, get over it. Obviously, he's impressed, man. He's impressed. Um, he's impressed. He's the cornerback that's impressed. Adam Thielen does what he does, and he does a veteran room right off the line of scrimmage. As you can see, he misses on his jam, or he has to go, and now he's in trail technique, and you have him basically just stacking on him, having more of a body length over him in the snap. And that's something, as a person who has 4.3 speed, especially when he beats you off the line of scrimmage, you don't get hands on him. And he's not known as a speed receiver. We know that he's not a speed receiver at this point of his career. The only reason why he drops his pass is because of his own undoing. He drops it on his own inability to be able to concentrate and make that catch. I mean, it's a pretty darn good ball. It could be better. Don't get me wrong. This could be a better thrown ball because he doesn't throw it to the point where it's in stride, but he drops it in the basket and it goes through his hands. As a wide receiver, you're expected, if you have two hands on the football, it's a catch. He gets up and starts celebrating, and I think to myself, like, that wasn't because of you. You didn't put your hand in there. You're not the reason why he dropped the ball. We're going to look at it again from the sideline angle just so we can get another look at it. So we know, like, this is just not a snap you want to put out there for teams or for your own fan base to be able to look at. I know it just got ignored. It's not really that important and stuff, but it is what it is. Cooper DeJean, yes. Yes, Dana, it is Cooper DeJean. That's the one I always keep forgetting, even though he is a nickel for the Eagles. They didn't even know where they were going to use him. They were either going to use him outside, they were going to use him in the nickel, they were going to use him at safety. They had no idea what they were going to do with him. So another, a couple of snaps that I want to bring up is, that game that people will say Keitrell Clark had a bad game against the 49ers. It was away. Of course, we ended up winning that game, which is great. There was late game heroics. It was a fourth down crazy fourth down completion. First snap, no, this is not the first snap, but take a look at it anyway. All right, you got motion. They're in the shotgun. You got the passing straight to the boundary. I mean, to the field side. This really doesn't even involve anything. This is actually this is the last game of the season, so I'm tripping here. I'm pulling the wrong film. It's mostly because of the fact that I had all my film saved as one file, and of course I got the wrong file. So let me go ahead and pull up the right file here for you guys. Still trying to get used to all this. I miss these type of streams and whatnot because I can really go into breaking down the film or pulling up the film and stuff. Here we go. So this is away. The Cardinals won this game, of course, late game heroics, like I mentioned. And this is the first drive. This is the first drive of the series, and they just attacked Starling Thomas like 4 or 5 times within that same drive itself. Now, This is an incompletion. I mean, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. But you have him playing so far off that, like, on this comeback, and they're clearly in cover three. You can tell because his butt's to the boundary. You have the cornerback kind of, going to the boundary. So you got these corners going into their deep thirds. You have this single high safety, the middle, part of the field, the middle third. You have one, two, three, four defenders underneath. These guys obviously are the intermediate part. So you got four intermediate, three deep. This is cover three, and you would play this in a off technique. You're going to be in a bail release, so you're going to play bail technique, and obviously the best way to attack this is comebacks and curls. But they saw something that they felt like they could have attacked, and if it's not for a badly thrown ball, and he does attack the blind spot, not for a badly thrown ball, this is a completion. It's a big completion at that. All right, this is see that's what's interesting because Star Thomas apparently has a 4.38 40, and that's the reasoning as to why I believe that this coaching staff does give him a chance, mostly because he has that speed, and they have no trust in any of the other cornerbacks. So to me, I'm thinking to myself, is that really the reason why you guys now Keitrell Clark has 4.3 speed as well, but I've mentioned time and time again, his strength is being in the slot. And if you have someone like Garrett Williams holding the slot down, when is he ever even going to get that chance to play? If not for Garrett Williams, being injured. But in my opinion, I would boot him out to the outside because Garrett Williams was an outside cornerback. He would have gone higher than where the Cardinals have drafted him. But at the same time, they placed him where they placed him, and he's doing really great. Why would they move him? It's always a case of like you don't know until you try. I completely agree. Now I'm gonna go ahead and pull up another clip. That's gonna be everything that I'm pulling up is from the same series. It's literally from the same series. Now, excuse me if I pulled the wrong clip when it comes to a different game because I wasn't I wasn't thinking about like, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and save these the same way and whatnot. So obviously, I got two files that have the same exact name onto them. Right. If I can take a quick look at this. Yeah, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the last game of the season. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I guess I was looking at film from the last game of the season when it comes to someone like Starling Thomas. And I got hundreds of these, so obviously I'm not really well prepared today. So my apologies for that. Just gonna let it play out and then I'll break it down. Yeah, this is the same exact clip. One thing to note is that this clip right here, Keitrell Clark is out there playing in the Apex, and I really well. Let's just go on and see what's going on with Keitrell. Keitrell drops into that like curl flat area. He's the curl flat defender here. That is his job to like just kind of like he's trying to if his guy goes inside, then that's no longer his assignment. Then he kind of like buzzes underneath, tries to like get in the way of the wide receiver without having interference happen. That's how you play a curl flat. Unfortunately, it looks like he's just guarding grass, and to a lot of people that don't understand how zones work and whatnot, they would say like, well, he's not defending anything. Well, he's defending his zone. See, I should have just named him Starling Thomas, not Star Thomas, to differentiate everything. Yeah, same clips. All right, guys. Unfortunately, I don't think this is gonna work when it comes to like being able to pull up his clips. I unfortunately named them the same exact name on here, so if I keep cycling through the same ones, we're just gonna go through the same couple plays, and it's gonna be a situation where you guys will not understand what I'm trying to convey here. Here's one snap that I did find when it comes to Star Thomas. I believe that Keytrell's not on the field on this snap, and obviously, like I'm a big Keytrell guy. So they kind of throw his direction. This is still the first series, by the way, and this is where they decide where they're going to attack. It's just a simple bubble screen, of course. But as you guys will see later on, when it comes to diagnosing screens and whatnot, there's tells to be able to look for a cornerback to know what the offense is going to do. A lot of it goes with their feet. You have to pay attention to their feet. You have to pay attention to their hips. Don't pay attention to anything up here. Pay attention down here. They'll tell you everything. In a wide receiver screen, you'll see the feet moving backwards. They're not going to be, the legs aren't going to be coming down to be able to push off of it like a kind of like a spring. It's going to be more of a situation where they move backwards. They're gonna be standing like straighter with their legs extended because they want to give up that yard to come back or turn their hips towards the quarterback to get that catch for the screen. And in this instance, you have the motion just to be able to take a defender from the box. That's the only reason why they have that motion. He's going to the boundary side. There's nothing there. There's absolutely nothing. If for some reason nobody trails or follows him, that's a wide open pass. So they want to set the motion before the snap so that if that's the case and nobody follows, that's a wide open pass. If not, then it's not that big of a deal. Quarterback can see if somebody's following within the time that he's about to throw the ball. Actually, now that I think about it, this is actually, you know what? Kudos to Sergeant Thomas. I was 100% wrong on this snap. They did something that's pretty genius here. He loads up on those legs as if he's going forward. And he goes off that back foot and just goes around. Hey, that's actually kudos to him. Now, this is the last play I'm just going to show. That last snap, I wouldn't say that's Starting Thomas's fault. And yeah, you're right. Once he gets a certain depth, the other wide receiver kind of blocks him. He blocks him in the back. But they did just enough to be able to, you know, have that natural pick. He has my thing about Starting Thomas is he has a hard time with that speed recovering after playing like the bell technique and whatnot. And right here, he's actually not in bell technique. He's in he did a man turn and not a zone turn. That usually indicates like man coverage in that end, but this isn't man coverage. This is zone mostly because you can see that Sean Murphy bunting never traveled. He stayed at the bottom of the screen in his own little zone and whatnot. So it's kind of interesting to see Starring Thomas play like a man coverage technique. So this is what I'm talking about. It's the recoveries that I have an issue with. It's not so much anything else other than recoveries in the situation. Because if you start, seeing that your wide receiver is going to try to bait you going upfield, and then he's going to create that space by going outside. Now he gets beat, fine. afterwards not making that tackle, that's easily what, like a 70, 60-yard gain. It's a pretty big play to be able to give up just on a basic out route. And you had the chance to be able to stop. I wouldn't it wouldn't be such an indictment if he stops him after he makes this catch. It's just a 15-yard gain, first down. But that angle is just that's a bad angle taken by him. And when you have these plays happen in these situations, circumstances where you do have control of it, yeah, you're gonna get beat. Every single corner is gonna get beat. But if you don't have that ability to square up and make that tackle and keep yourself from just like trying to like missile your way to the guy where he can make a just a sudden like just like a quick turn or just a sidestep, giving up a big play in that situation, and that's exactly what happened. Yeah, and I agree. That's exactly what I was mentioning earlier. That's the reason why I like Dana coming on to the stream, because she does have a lot of insight. So when you're paying attention to the shoulders, it's not really going to tell you much. The saying is hips don't lie. Why is that the saying? Why is every corner being taught to look at the hips, look at the legs? The reason why is because when you're turning or switching like to a different direction, and you're turning or you're running upfield or you're stopping, everything's going to be predicated on what the hips are doing, not what your hands are doing, not what your head is doing. You can sell certain things with those body parts, but they can't change your direction. Whereas if you plant your foot on the ground, you can see that. You know that this wide receiver is probably going to stop and turn. When you see the hips turn whatever direction they're turning, that's the direction they're going to be running to. So, and especially since I'm not sure the coverage call here, I'll be honest with you. It does look like what kind of trips me out about this coverage is that you have Sean Murphy bunting at the bottom of the screen, just not defending anything. That's a zone tell in that situation. Because he would travel, he's a cornerback. He would travel with another wide receiver, defend another wide receiver. You have George Kittle lined up at the bottom of the screen. If his defender was Sean Murphy bunting, there's something off with that. That's not man coverage at that point. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 defensive backs out here, 2 linebackers, and you have 4 down linemen at the line of scrimmage. So in this personnel usage, if Sean Murphy bunting is that extra hook defender, quote unquote, if he was lined up across George Kittle, they would just switch out for another safety, possibly have like DTR out there, or maybe Jalen Thompson manning up someone like George Kittle, and one of these other cornerbacks would just take the boot and sit on the bench. But you do have Star Thomas out there and Sean Murphy bunting on opposite sides of the field, which once again, that's a tell of zone. If Sean Murphy bunting isn't up in the line of scrimmage or 7 yards off of a wide receiver, he's clearly not defending anybody. And then once George Kittle, runs his little crosser, he stays in his zone. If that's the truth, then why is Sterling Thomas in a man coverage technique instead of a zone technique? A zone technique predicates him putting his butt to the boundary, playing bail over the top. And yes, a good way of being able to beat that is comebacks and curls. A lot of cornerbacks can't beat that. Can't overcome getting beat by curls and out routes and whatnot in a zone bail technique. He turns towards a wide receiver, and he wants to know where this guy is obviously going to travel to. It's not paying attention to the right indicators and just gives up like about, I would say, like 6 or 7 yards of cushion, as you'll see here. So this right here will tell you exactly what happened on the snap to give up such room. So he kind of slows down, changes direction. He would know that because he would be paying attention to his hips, and then shoots upfield. Once he shoots upfield, he kind of gets him out of phase. And I think what happens here is that Starting Thomas gets in a panic mode. He gets in a panic mode because he sees that this guy, shot upfield instead of like slowing down, maybe turning again, having another curl, anticipatory throw and whatnot. And he just he lost the rep right here. This guy could have shot upfield, and if Brock Purdy can throw that ball 60 yards down the boundary, that's a big play in itself, and there's nothing really much he can do unless Brock Purdy underthrows that ball. But then he hits him right here, plants his foot. There's no chance here. He's just done. And then since it was an anticipatory throw, you got him wide open on that. Then okay, kid, you gave up the big pass, make the tackle. Just not paying attention to the right to where his hips are at, where his feet are at. Exactly what you mentioned, Dana. It's just more so of the upper body, where his hands are, where his shoulders are, which is not going to indicate where he's gonna. You're not even going to tackle the shoulders, by the way. You're going to get him by the hips or the legs. If you're going to make that tackle a good form tackle, you're going to tackle like lower than you would. And if you do square up on that, you're in a position where if this guy makes a move on you, you're just right there. And then I'm going to show a snap by Kitro on that same type of technique and how he makes an incredible play on his first play of the season this year. Nobody paid attention to it, but it was a really great play. But starting Thomas can hold down the position, but it's plays like these where I kind of wonder where this coaching staff is at with our cornerbacks. Because if Sean Murphy Bunting gave up the same exact throw, the same exact rep, Twitter would be full of it. It would just be a play that would be highlighted on the broadcast view. Hey, we got to get this guy out of here. Sean Murphy Bunting, Sean Murphy busting, get him out of here. You give him a big contract. Keitrell Clark gives up this play. Well, back to the bench. That's exactly why they don't play you with they don't give you those snaps. That's exactly the reason why you're on the bench, is because plays like that. He does give up a play like that. To be honest, on the same game, he misses a tackle himself. Does a really stupid job of being able to square up. So it's the same exact situation. They attack it to the left side, and he gives up. It's not as big of a play, but he does give up a sizable play. But there's some things that I like that Keitrell Clark does when it comes to tackling. The guy is not a he's not afraid to hit. Now that's a good question, match cover 6. All right, let's go back to the sideline view here. So cover 6 would be quarter half. Let's see where these guys end up. And it's true. You're right. It could be match cover 6, quarter half defense. My question to you is that if you have this guy capping these two routes, kind of midpointing them, you would have somebody else bailing to this deep zone, and he would be bailing to his. I mean, I guess he wouldn't be bailing to the deep zone. There's nothing here. There's no routes here. So you have your half field defender here. You have your two defenders here. If he was to be the half zone defender on this side, maybe you're right. That is cover 6. Because you would have these two deep quarters, half capping off this side of the field because there's no routes on this side anyway. That's why you don't see Sean Murphy Bunting getting deeper. You have your 3 underneath defenders. You have your 4 at the line of scrimmage. You know what? I would have to actually agree with you. This could be match cover 6. You are definitely onto something when it comes to this. I didn't realize it at the time. It just kind of threw me off that in this situation you had somebody like Starling Thomas playing a zone bail technique. No, a man coverage technique instead of a zone bail technique like he would in a quarters coverage system or in a cover 6. I'm going to try to attempt to pull up another play, but I mean, I wouldn't don't hold your breath for what I got going on because I did a horrendous job when it comes to preparation for this game or for the stream, I believe. See, that's exactly my point. The first thing I pull up another end of the season play. All right, let's go ahead and attempt the other one that I labeled the same. I believe I played this. I pulled up this play already, so I'm just trying to eliminate it. Yeah, this is a play that I already had eliminated. Yeah, we're not gonna have any. There's no luck. I'm just gonna give up on it. We're gonna be on this all day when it comes to snaps. Now, let's go ahead and pull up the snaps of why I believe that Keitrell Clark should get. He should be commanding more snaps, and I'm not sure what's going on. If this is just a situation of like falling out of favor and whatnot with a certain coaching staff. So I love this play by Keitrell Clark. Let's go ahead and just start it from the very beginning. I guess I lost my controls here, so we're just going to play this out. All right, so if you notice, he's playing the apex here, so he's at the slot. If you can see, and unfortunately, because I lost my controls here, I can't control it past this point. He's defending number 85. I'm not sure if that's a wide receiver, if that's a tight end. He falls off his guy as soon as he sees that that the quarterback is actually going to take off. So Josh Allen decides he's going to tuck it and run in the situation. He falls off his defender, keeping his eyes towards the quarterback, exactly what he's supposed to do in that situation. And in doing so, he squares up, takes him down, and it's actually for no gain. I mean, that's a hell of a play. That's a hell of a play to be able to stop someone like Josh Allen, who is known for being able to take off just like Kyler Murray and make people miss and possibly even score a touchdown on this. The technique that he uses here is it's great technique to be able to like not only to not give up any lane on doing so, but after he was trailing his defender here, he passes off, knows for a fact that his defender's no longer going to be a, like a threat. Passes that off, keeps his hips square, and then makes the form tackle. I've seen snaps like this by Keitrell Clark time and time again, where he is able to come off of certain routes or he's able to pass off certain receivers that are either trying to run him off, like they think he's in like man coverage, try to run him off to give somebody else the ability to, get the ball underneath, possibly on a screenplay. And he comes off as a defender and he makes the play. Most of the time it's for a loss. This is just straight up just him playing his zone and whatnot, coming off his defender again to go and defend the flat. It's quarters here. That's what it at least presents. It's hard to tell because it doesn't go any further. These guys, so the defensive backs there's 4 deep. That kind of indicates quarters, and then you have Keitrell, who's the apex, coming down, taking that hook curl or that curl flat zone, is coming down on it. So that's usually what indicates like quarters coverage. I promise you guys I will be way better prepared for the next one. I'll have all this film like saved before I even decide to like go live or say, hey, this is gonna be the first thing I'm gonna pull up. It's gonna be the second thing. But hey, it's been a long time. It's been a while since the last time that I've streamed. or at least done this on my own. So cut me some slack. And see, this is one of the plays that's exactly like I started reminding myself, why is it that I saved this play? This is exactly part of the reason why I saved it, because I saw this on film and I really like I really thought to myself, this is actually like this is a good play. I better save it before I forget about it. I do that a lot with these clips. As you can see, this is just a basic run play. You obviously notice that like the tight end motions to the motions to become like the insert player. So, not really the insert player. That would mean he would line up behind his own offensive lineman. But he's motioning towards the inside because he's trying to become the lead, the not the lead block, but the I keep forgetting what kind of block this is, but it's not really called a lead block. But he's trying to open that gap up for his running back because they're trying to attack that little like that lane that they have here just outside of the C gap or the outside, you could say. Actually, no, he's attacking the B gap here. That's a great tackle by the defensive lineman. But you see that square up action again. Uh, he's coming down to the line of scrimmage, squaring up so that way he can make him miss at the line of scrimmage. Comes down and just makes that little arm tackle. It's not really that impressive, but it's definitely something that he kind of diagnoses ahead of time. And I would say he plays physical. That's the thing that I notice about watching his film when it comes to he's undersized, about 180 pounds. He's 5'10", somewhere around 5'9", but he's not afraid to hit, and he's not afraid to be physical when it comes to doing stuff like defending the run or even making tackles on wide receivers. And it's something that I really appreciate when it comes to like cornerbacks, because it's, as you know, cornerbacks are known for not wanting to touch, like sometimes not wanting to touch defenders. He just does want, like a lot of corners don't want none of that. I believe this is from last year. So this is something that no, this is from this year. I have some film saved from last year when it comes to like Keytrell and noticing what he does when it comes to like snaps that you just can't find or that you can't notice. That's great technique. If you look at him, he's once again playing the slot apex. And this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about like feeling routes or what you want to do. If you're doing a man coverage, like a man turn technique, and you're turning yourself towards the outside so you can keep your eyes on the wide receiver instead of keeping your eyes on the quarterback itself. You don't want to give up 1 or 2 yards of space, and this was designed to be kind of, in Cliff Kingsbury, of course, designed this play. They're trying to disrupt them at the line of scrimmage and get a pick, get themselves like a little pick. It almost looks like 17, which is McCaffrey, I believe. Not 100% sure. Don't quote me. I can just tell just by the color of his skin, like if it's McCaffrey out there, if it's I believe actually 17. I'm not sure if that belongs to Scary Terry. Forgot his number, of course I did, but I could just tell if it's wide receiver out there, um, and he's light skinned. That's probably Christian McCaffrey, or not really Christian McCaffrey. I'm sorry, I'm kind of blanking out here. But this rep itself, it just shows you that great technique. He's not biting on everything. He's like trying to give up a little bit of cushion, keeping his eyes to the wide receiver, turning and just staying shoulder to shoulder with his and making sure he's not giving much space. This is kind of the reason why I like him playing off the line of scrimmage, which is exactly what you would do when you're playing in the slot. You give up more cushion because those would be natural rubs and natural picks that if the offense diagnoses that it's man coverage. I mean, when they know it's man coverage, they try to run these scissors concepts, these like rubs, these called switch releases at the line of scrimmage. Bring up the next play. Now this is something I labeled after key control, so give me a little bit of time to be able to figure out what's going on in this snap. Oh, this is nothing special. We could just skip this one. Sometimes I save film and I don't know exactly what the reasoning is. That's why I got to get another look at it. I'm trying to pull up stuff that I believe this one could be a good snap once again. No, okay. This is what I was talking about when it comes to like last year. This is what I mentioned when I mentioned last year when he became the starter, or when he was a starter and he got himself like the starter snaps. And unfortunately, seems like he lost those snaps in that Los Angeles Rams game that we played early in last year's season. Yeah, this thing just took away my play button. I believe I saved this because of the fact that like he does really. Oh my god, I'm sorry guys, this is annoying me. So this is what's going on my end of the screen. So what's going on here is I lose my play button. I have to zoom in so I can get a better look at the players. But then as soon as I do that, I lose my play button. And then I have no ability to be able to scroll again. Something's going on with this feature that's just not letting me or allowing me to do it in that mode. So what I'm gonna have to do is probably not have the file be saved and have it, be like in the way that it normally would look like when it comes to share screen, because like this is not playing out like I thought it would play out, and I cannot like go back and forth and save film or do anything when it comes to, or like scroll back and forth when it comes to this film. I'm not sure how it happened, but it did, and I cannot get rid of that feature, unfortunately. It's just not it's not allowing me to. It was fine earlier when I was something changed within this. It was fine earlier, and now it's just this just it's becoming a nightmare when it comes to like trying to like scroll back and forth. I'm gonna give it one more chance to some other film, and if not, then I'll just go ahead and just bust it out from the 2 hour film that I have to study whenever the film drops. I wanted to see if I could pull up another piece of film from last year. There we go. It's the same exact. See, this is what I'm talking about. I do this all the time. I pull up the same exact one. All right, I'm just gonna get rid of that. It's the same exact video file I just pulled up. All right, let's take a look at this snap. See if there's anything great about this one. Kind of kills it that I can't. That I have absolutely no ability to be able to pause. No, they won't let me pause it. Yeah, this is just this thing is just screwing with me. This inability to be able to pause it, because a lot of things that I like to do is stop it at a certain point, find where the player is, and then be able to control it from there. Unfortunately, it's not going to let me do that. So I'm going to try share screen. All right, let's see if this works out better because not being able to have my controls. I'm not gonna dig that at all. Not by one bit. Sure, I don't have any information out there for anybody to be able to see. All right, let's give this a shot. My apologies for how the screen's gonna look, or it being a little bit smaller, but I do need to have my controls. I can't break this down like the way I want to. Wait, if I can't stop it, rewind it, be able to like find and diagnose where anything's at, it's just not gonna be able to work. All right. Unfortunately, I have to squint my eyes at this, but this is the best I can do for now. Unless I do it this way. I'm not sure if you guys can see that or if that's better, but so I hope I'm not talking, and I hope I'm not talking, and people are just like, "Hey, what's going on here?" They can't see anything. But this is the play that I showed off earlier. So once again, doing it again when it comes to like pulling up the same play over and over and over again. Oh, look at that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful tackle. Just storming the B gap here, kind of lurking downwards. I believe this is probably a blitz call. You can tell that it's possibly going to be a call. What's going on here? Yeah, that was weird. Sorry, guys. This is a cap blitz, a cap blitz. You can tell because of the fact that he's kind of lurking. He's coming down, getting closer to the line of scrimmage. You want to you want your corners to try to time your blitz as fast as possible because you're trying to attack a gap without being picked up by a defender. You don't want a person, for instance, to get a tell on you right before the snap goes off. You have indicators that will be able to tell you exactly what's going on or what kind of like when they're gonna time when they're gonna have their snap. So just taking a look at the offense, you have the passing string over to the top side of the screen. This is the field side. You may think that this is probably going to be a situation if you see that wide receiver who was at the bottom of the screen travel and you see the tight end right behind him. You think the run's going to go that direction. Well, it was supposed to be designed to go up the middle and possibly pushed out to the right. I mean to the left. If if the top side was already with all the corners and all, and everybody was lined up at the top. You have two safeties up there. You have three defensive backs, one defensive lineman lined up to that side, and then you see the nose kind of shading to the left side of the formation. Left side if you're the defense, right side if you're the offense. So these gaps are going to be the backside gaps to the top side of the formation. So you obviously have the front side becoming like being the position where you see Star Thomas and you see the other Thomas that Xavier Thomas lined up at the bottom of the screen and whatnot. So as you see, it's not so much that he still did a good job of being able to like get there untouched. But you don't see that at the line of scrimmage. You don't see that at the line of scrimmage without it being a blitz. Now, if this was a play because he could tell like where the run was going to be, what gap was going to open up, that's great. That's a great read by Keytro. You got to give it to him. But I think this is preemptively done, where he just is has been called for a cap blitz, and he takes off right at the snap to be able to hit that hole that like that you don't have any defenders ready to get. It looks as if the tight end himself was tasked with being able to make that block on the second level, but he's caught off guard because he doesn't know this guy's already running at full speed, hits that gap. Now, if you really, really want to give props, Chris Tonga holding attacking half of a defender, holding his block, pushing back that guard, getting in a position where the guy's damn near holding him. That right there is actually what caused this to be a failed like play. But when you have a guy in the backfield as far as he is in Kitro, that makes the running back have to take a different lane because that lane is now closed. He can't do anything attacking the right side. He can't do anything attacking the right side of the formation, the A or the B gap, because that's already been clogged up. And every single defensive lineman here actually holds their blocks and does well when it comes to attacking. They're all attacking half a defender, and doing that, you open up what they essentially say is open the gate on the offensive lineman, and you're halfway in. And because you're in that position, you're able to control going upfield and even possibly getting held. That's a great snap. That right there is one of the reasons why I wish that we could see more of these snaps by Keitrell Clark if he gets more reps. But I don't understand what is going on between him and the coaching staff. I know why I saved this one. This one's him attacking a screen, coming down, just keeping himself like going, gets up, celebrates, good snap. Like, yeah, get yours, man. Good snap on that one. Once again, these screens, it takes like half a second that of tells to be able to diagnose what's exactly going on. So for a cornerback, you only have half a second to figure out what's going on. And if you don't act upon it, if you unfortunately like don't diagnose it quick enough, it's when you get like that 5 or 6 yard gain. That's what they're designed to do. They're designed to get yourself like a quick, easy 5 to 6 yards. Sometimes it'll be a touchdown. So again, you're looking at the feet. Puka Nakua, he's backing up. His legs are straighter. He's not loading up like a spring about to take off. He's just, just having his legs as straight as possible and backing up. That's how you know it's a screen. Now, my question here, and this is one where we have Starling Thomas again, which really helps. You have that motion that is like a, just like a, I keep forgetting what the name of that motion is, but you have the motion here. You can tell at this point what's going on. You have two wide receivers attacking you. You have Puka Nakua sidestepping. He's not going forward. He's not loading up on those legs. This is a screen. You see, by this point right here, if you're watching carefully, even Mac Wilson moves from his hook zone, kind of, walks down. He's watching the quarterback. He sees the screen go out. He's going to be the guy who's going to be the contain / force player on this side. Now, do I wish he would have responded sooner? I don't know, probably, but I'm not sure. Like, I haven't watched enough of Mac Wilson. I do like him as a linebacker, but you do need that contained player because if he tries to attack the screen right away, it's possible that this could go for a big gain over the middle. But he also does have the opportunity to maybe get a pick six on this if he is quicker. But that is Matthew Stafford throwing the ball. Matthew Stafford has a cannon of an arm. So it's a gamble, and I'm not going to blame Mac Wilson. But what I'm saying is he notices that there's something going on. When he sees the reverse motion, he knows that this is possibly going to be like either a handoff going the opposite way. This is just going to be eye candy in front of him. Or if it's a screen, he's in perfect position to be able to contain and stop the wide receiver from going inside. That's with if there's a situation where Starling Thomas holds it to the outside. Right here, he does try to take off, he does kind of pump his legs right here once he knows that it's a screen, but right there, it's a screen. Go downhill. Go downhill because he's not moving forward. Once the ball gets snapped, when a wide receiver is moving forward, because once the ball is snapped, he takes off. He takes off and he's trying to take off and then maybe go for a go route, a slant, whatever it is, but he's taking off from the line of scrimmage. And you're late in diagnosing it. You diagnosed it, and now you're fighting the blocks. And you got two people out there to be able to seal you off from being able to get to the wide receiver. Now in this situation, you have the contain, you have the force player on the outside. Kitro's going downhill. Now that's a great job in him lunging for the tackle sooner rather than later before a wide receiver can notice he's coming downhill. And that is a bad block by the wide receiver. He should be shedding and trying to pick off Ketro Clark, but he's gunning. He's gunning. And he's making sure that this is contained fully by not trying to make a quick decision, either attacking the outside too soon or attacking the inside too soon. Maybe you attacked it too soon, they'd lose more yards, but that's great tackling by Ketro Clark. That's great, diagnosing a play and making sure that they don't get nothing but a no gain or maybe a half a yard gain. All right, guys. So I will be shutting down sometime soon, but I just wanted to go over this play as well. This is what his one highlight that you can say of his young career. This is the interception he had against the San Francisco 49ers. Using a bail technique once again. There's a reason why he's not so worried about downfield, because he's keeping his eyes on the quarterback, not fully bailing, knows that the ball is coming. At this point, his arm is already turning. He's already winding to throw the ball downfield. He's in a good posture here, keeping his eyes on the quarterback, but keeping his hips still flipped in a way where he can just turn and take off, turn and burn. I believe that's actually a tight end that is running that go route up the field. That's Kyle Juszczyk. Maybe he's not so afraid of the speed, so that's part of the reason why he just doesn't try to take the eye candy and bail. But he notices that this ball, there's no defender on the slot receiver here. And he's about to turn and run for an out route, or run an out route. He slams on the brakes in this position, and he's already attacking, trying to come downfield. I mean, you could say this is possibly if the wide receiver has better hands, the wide receiver has better hands. He's catching this ball. This is a pass given up by Ketro Clark. But he was ready to attack, and in this position here, the wide receiver isn't getting. They're not getting much, and you saw that there's two wide receivers attacking both the safety and the cornerback to the outside. You have 2 for 2 here, and you have one that's about 15 yards off the line of scrimmage to be able to defend everything deep. Actually, taking a look at this is probably cover 2 zone. So that safety is going to take the deeper of the 2 routes. In quarters, this is actually quarters coverage. In quarters coverage, this is probably what I would consider as cloud. This is a cloud cornerback. He is defending everything that's 5 yards or less, and he's passing off everything that's deep to safety. So he's mid-pointing both of these receivers, because whichever one of these breaks before the 5-yard line, that's his defender. He's not worried about like the go route, because the go route needs to be capped off by the safety, and the safety in the situation is Garrett Williams. And they do have Garrett Williams playing a plethora of positions. That's one of the positions that he plays often. Is he'll be the one of the deep third, deep half safeties. They love doing this with Garrett Williams, and he plays like that chess piece that I wish Isaiah Simmons was more used as, but he's a very good coverage defender. That's the reason why they keep him on the back end a lot more. I believe that if they would have had Isaiah Simmons blitz more often, that would have been a different story. They'd get better usage off Isaiah Simmons. Regardless, I don't want to go on an Isaiah Simmons tangent, but I just love highlighting this play. All right, we got 2 more people. You know what? Why not? I'll go ahead and pull up another play. I'm gonna try to do this video. Oh, thank you, for Dana, for letting me know that you can see. Because I'm over here in territory that I've never ventured into when it comes to like streaming. I hope to do it more often. I have some other snaps that I could also, pull up when it comes to like other players and stuff that I do like, when it comes to other situations and stuff that I pay attention to. Well, you know what? As a matter of fact, I'll give you guys this little bonus of a snap. This is one of my favorite snaps and one of my favorite calls. Cover 0. I love the aggressiveness. I love how new age defensive coordinators, this is a nod to Nick Rallis, getting really creative. The Cardinals were 4th when it comes to the calling blitz. They called it the 4th highest in the league. They got really aggressive. That was not the Cardinals defense a year ago. Cardinals defense a year ago, middle pack, below average. Something that people have brought up time and time again about Jonathan Gannon. He's not aggressive. And it's true. He does like to play more of a quarters heavy Vic Fangio, cover 6, cover 8, quarter, half, quarter. He loves, winning with 4-man fronts. You all obviously need to get more pressure on these quarterbacks. If you have no choice, you're going to have to get creative, and you're going to have to call more blitz. And unfortunately, that's not really the territory that Jonathan Gannon likes to live in. Now, Nick Rallis, that could be the staple for Nick Rallis could be that he's more aggressive. Jonathan Gannon, that's fine. You got to kind of go on to your own. If Nick Rallis is a person that loves to, be more aggressive, then, fine. If Jonathan Gannon is a good head coach, he will go ahead and give those keys so that Nick Rallis can go ahead and drive on his own, carve a niche, possibly get himself like a coaching hire. Guys like 30 years old, younger than I am, possibly break the record for the youngest head coach. I mean, it's possible. I would say that a lot of people think that Nick Rallis is a person who is getting more from this defense than what the talent level shows, and I agree with them. But enough of that. Let's just look at the play. I believe you have 9 at the line of scrimmage, actually. Well, kind of. Buda Baker's kind of a little bit off the line of scrimmage, but this situation, you're trying to throw more people than they can block. That's the whole thing about like cover 0. Now, you have man coverage all across the board. You're going to banjo every single like route. So if one of the receivers runs towards the outside and the other one runs to the inside and they cross each other, you're not going to cross each other on that man coverage called. It's man coverage, but you're still going to pass off basically these routes and whatnot, because you don't want to get in a position where you get picked off and nobody's there to be able to defend it, because there's no deep corner now, or deep safety. Now I can see here that you do have somebody deep. That's fine. Usually cover 0 indicates that there's no safeties deep, but there is one safety deep. So this is a very, very, very aggressive call. They roll into Tampa 2. How do I know it's Tampa 2? Well, I'm about to tell you. It's Tampa 2 because you have that linebacker that was on the line of scrimmage. He's known as a pole runner. Right before the snap, he's taking up, running up the pole. He's that intermediate middle defender. Great way to be able to tell what Tampa 2 is and what like cover 2 is if you have this pole runner running to the intermediate deep zone, deep middle, intermediate, and most likely that's going to be a linebacker. Linebackers are usually linebackers or safeties are going to be the ones who are tasked with being that pole runner in a Tampa 2 call. Then you have your 4 underneath defenders. Why do they call this? Well, the reason why this is such a brilliant call and why I like the aggressiveness here is because you're trying to psych these quarterbacks or these wide receivers, whatever. You're trying to psych them out and making them think that the ball has to come out quick. You want them to do you want them to have a situation where they basically. So what they're basically doing is they're trying to get rid of the ball quick, side adjust at the line of scrimmage, get rid of the ball, but you bail everybody like to their zones, and so now the ball came out. The wide receiver has the ball, and now you have these defenders ready to rally and tackle. And you thought to yourself, like, hey, get it out quick. Everybody's in man coverage. All the cornerbacks are in man coverage. Make one person miss, you get a big play. Well, look, we're just going to drop into our zones. You got rid of the ball quick, and that's it. Obviously, that's not what happened here. But in another like effect of doing these things where you're rolling into different coverages is you're not announcing who's gonna come and blitz. You're not announcing who's gonna come downhill. So these offensive linemen don't know who to block. So you could have somebody screaming free to the quarterback, and no one will pick him up because they didn't know which one of these defenders were gonna come downhill and make the tackle. This obviously forces a throwaway by Matthew Stafford because he's spooked. He has no idea where this is going. That's a great call. As I mentioned, I love. This is a great call. They just flush him out of the pocket. Look at that. Owen Pappo sighting. That guy would possibly be the Cardinals' best blitzer if they decided to utilize him. And this is not shocking. Zaven Collins is the pole runner here. He does such a good job being able to like they use him to be that intermediate middle defender. Oftentimes, why don't they just play him at linebacker? I think he'd be a great linebacker again. He's really good in coverage. I know people are up about like Cody Simon, but Cody Simon, he has a weakness when it comes to like he could be a great Cardinals blitzer, but the guy is a liability in coverage. Now he can prove me wrong. I love seeing that. I love seeing the creativity here. This is something that I really appreciate that Nick Rallis is like, experimenting with. And I hope that it becomes something that he kind of uses to evolve this defense, because they do have the people that they want to be able to go for like 4 down linemen. And that's great. But I hope they don't try to like just get away from that. Now I pulled this play up. This is not off random. I love this breakup. It's a great pass breakup. This is probably going to be it for me after this, but probably one of the best breakups I've seen. It's break on the balls. They couldn't be any more cleaner. That's Max Melton right there. So Max Melton, if he can build off of being able to take off from his back foot and break on these balls, oh my God, that's all you need as a cornerback to be able to defend these out routes. That is beautiful. And he celebrates. I would celebrate that too. So next man up, I would say we're fine. We don't need to panic about starting Thomas. Starting Thomas has a lot of, experience. He's gotten a lot of snaps with this Cardinals defense. But at the end of the day, I would just, say that it's next man up, and you have a lot. You have a lot there. You have Elijah Jones. You have possibly Garrett Williams being pushed to the outside again. You have Will Johnson, who you just drafted. You have Keitrell Clark, who can, begrudgingly play on the outside, even though I don't want him outside. I want him in the slot. You have a plethora of cornerbacks that you can develop now. If somebody like Starting Thomas was holding that position down, you would think that Will Johnson takes over for like Sean Murphy Bunting. Well, then you're just going to get middle pack, you're going to get middling play. You're going to get situations where people aren't going to so much pay attention to the failures and pay more attention to the good stuff because of the fact that he is undrafted and he shouldn't be playing at this level. He shouldn't even be starting. But that doesn't mean just because he was undrafted, let's just not count these faults against him. You don't want to have a cornerback out there who's committing bad technique or just giving up plays and whatnot to go unspoken of because he makes a play where he like forces a fumble at the 1 yard line. That's a great play. Yeah, no doubt. But oftentimes I see situations where if he has that speed and he's getting beat off the line of scrimmage or he's getting stacked, but the ball's not being thrown in his direction, it's not a win. That's not a winning snap. That's why you got to look at the all 22. You're not going to be able to see this on the broadcast view. So, all right, guys, good night. As I promised, next time I'll be better. I'll have the plays laid out. This will be a way better stream than it is right now. And hopefully I can bring on a guest so we can go ahead and discuss, because I know that it's better for two people to be able to bounce off of each other. So if I don't have a guest, obviously I'll be doing this with my co-host, Blake Murphy. But you guys have a good night and stay safe. Go Cardinals.